A Shalom Yashala, meaning peace be unto the nation of Israel. Whom are modern day so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and Speckled Israelites, whom are the Israelite foreigners scattered across the four corners of the earth. All right, whom are the Most High Yahweh's chosen people of the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. All right. Without further ado, as always, just want to give all praises, glory, infinite honor to my power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach Yahushai, Baharach Kodash, which is all praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahushai, and the Holy Spirit. All right. All praise, meaning all praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, only begotten and anointed Son, Yahushai, and the Holy Spirit. All right. And with that, Mashana, Kabuadim Lahasakwanim, Shal Gadawawakal, meaning double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, the true shepherds of Israel, and shalom honors and salutations to Bayasha Dawada, meaning the house of David, representing the elect of Israel. All right. This is fellow servant Malak Rayash back at it again with another video through the spirit prophecy, but the testimony of our Lord and Savior, Hamashiach Yahushai. Who shed his blood for the remission of sins of Israel. And this is dealing with this is basically just a spiritual movie review or a spiritual review of this this second installment of the Coming to America franchise, man. Okay. And I was watching it last night, and entertainment wise, it was a funny movie. I'm into comedy and whatnot, but you know what I'm saying, there were some spiritual elements in that movie, you know what I'm saying, I wanted to go ahead and address, you know what I'm saying, for edification, exhortation's sake, you know what I'm saying, for the body, you know what I'm saying, for the whole elect. You see what I'm saying? Because going into the title of this stream, Wakanda, from Wakanda to Zamunda, or from Wakanda back to Zamunda, all right? We're dealing with Wakanda. In this case, shall I start with Zamunda? Before Wakanda, dealing with the whole vein vibration of Africa to further lull the so-called Negroes to sleep, to keep us conditioned to believing that we're so-called Africans, and we're really Israelites according to biblical prophecy, God's chosen people, okay? And the most powerful man to ever walk on the planet, was from the tribe of Judah, from the nation of Israel, a so-called Negro, okay? Not a so-called African, but a so-called Negro. Now, the reason why, before you have Wakanda pushing that vain spirit, you had Zamunda, okay, which is a fictional land, to give off that vibration of Africa, okay, because Esau wants to keep that lie going that so-called Negroes, so-called African Americans are Africans, okay, so back in what was that, the late 80s, early 90s, you had Coming to America pushing that Zamunda spirit out there. That's why they brought that installment back out. Oddly enough, some months later, after Chadwick Boseman dies, as the head of the Black Panther franchise, pushing out that, further pushing out that so-called African vibration, through the Black Panther franchise, dealing with Wakanda. And Wakanda means, on behalf of Stan Lee, for to bring this information out, Wakanda means you are going home, okay? Because because there's a lot of these movies are predictive programming and the messages in it. Because this devil knows that we are going home. The nation of Israel is going back home. That's Jerusalem, the mother of us all, pursuing Galatians chapter 4 verse 26. Okay, because contrary to popular belief, so-called Negroes or so-called African American Indians, so-called Africans, okay, from the southern kingdom of Israel are not from Africa, not from the fictional Zamunda, not from the fictional Wakanda. Okay, Wakanda is supposed to be some sort of, give off some sort of East African, vibration. Okay, dealing with the language and geographics and whatnot. You see, but we're actually from Jerusalem. Okay, and pursuing the St. Luke, the 21st chapter, Hamashiach Yahushai, our Lord and Savior, whom the Master of the world ignorantly refers to, Jesus Christ, told us to flee to Africa. He told us to flee to the mountains. Dealing with the Northwest mountains. In this case, the Atlas Mountains in Northwest Africa. That's how we ended up in Africa, because our homeland, Jerusalem, is essentially adjacent to Africa, and that's how our forefather Joseph was able to take. He's able to take Mary and our Lord and Savior Yahushua, to Africa, to flee from Herod, during that persecution, when they were killing all the Jew babies, man. Okay, because they knew the prophecy of the King of the Jews. Also, another reason why Apostle Paul was mistaken for Ethiopian, a so-called African. So we're going to go, through the spirit, man. We're going to go ahead further tear down these strongholds and stumbling blocks, specifically dealing with Africa. You know what I'm saying? Because we're not ignorant these devil devices, man. Okay, it's not a coincidence that a couple of years ago you had Black Panther come out to further push out that vibration in Africa to further contend with the truth. Okay, just like around the time of Chadwick Boseman, star of Black Panther, pushing out what that same spirit through Wakanda. You know what I'm saying? They brought back Zamunda. You see, around the same time. So we're not in these devil devices, man. It's a further means to contend with this truth because they know that they're going down. So this is one of their, like it says in that saying goes, desperate times call for desperate measures, man. You see, so these devils are coming down with that great wrath, knowing that they have but a short time, and their devices is the utilization of their devices is no exception to that, man. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring out some precepts. You know what I'm saying? Got quite a bit to bring out, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get straight to it. All right. And Lord willing, this is further edifying and exhorting to the elect who may come across this video. All right. This is Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 2, and it reads, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. Okay, and Judah is dealing with the southern kingdom of Israel, the so-called blacks, the so-called Negroes, aka African Americans or blacks, along with the so-called West Indians, the Jamaicans, Trinidadians, you know what I'm saying, and the so-called West Indians dwelling in the Caribbean, around those areas, and then the so-called Haitians, mainly out of the land of Haiti, which you're from the tribe of Levi. Okay, so the so-called so Judah is the kingdom of Judah, the southern kingdom, mainly dealing with the so-called blacks, aka African Americans or blacks or Negroes from the tribe of Judah. Okay, then you have the tribe of Benjamin, including the so-called West Indians. Then you have the tribe of Levi, which is the so-called Haitians. So in this context, when it speaks about Judah, it's talking about the southern kingdom of Israel. Okay, and pursuing a biblical prophecy, they are black, like it says here. And it's not talking about a state, a state of mind dealing with depression and whatnot. This is actually dealing with, the appearance of these people. When you look up this word black in the Hebrew, it's kodar, which means dark skin. Okay, because the Jews, all right, the prefix Jew, that is being of the word Judah, all right, are those people, all right, the Jews, okay, being so-called black people according to biblical prophecy, okay, are actually dark-skinned people, so-called black. That's why it says what it says here. Okay, it said Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish; they are blackened to the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. Okay, they're blackened to the ground; they're dark-skinned. And then when it says the gates languish, all right, that's symbolic of our leadership, our vain, compromised leadership. Okay, that's why you have this demon, Rick Ross, you know what I'm saying, reportedly turning his palace, his mansion, into Zamunda. You see, because these are these language gates, these vain false leaders of our nation that are used by our oppressor, the devil, Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, to further push out, the wicked satanic vibration, you know what I'm saying, of these strongholds and stumbling blocks to keep our keep our people asleep, to keep our people lulled to sleep, and keep that veil over our eyes, you know what I'm saying, from the truth that we are the biblical lost Torah tribes of Israel, okay, that the Bible speaks of. And as opposed to Africans, because so-called Africans are from the biblical nation at hand, So speaking of which, we go and bring that out. And this is in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. All right, and this is dealing with the nation at hand, the real so-called Africans. Okay, because pursuing the Exodus 11:7, the Lord put a clear difference between the Israelites, so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians, and the Hamites, so-called Africans, the real so-called Africans. Because pursuing of Joel, the 3rd chapter, though that was the same nation, of that trilateral slave commission, dealing with the nation of Ham, the so-called Africans, okay, that partook into so-called blacks from the southern kingdom of Israel being sold into slavery. Okay, that's why Esau he pushes that narrative that we sold our own people into slavery, as if to imply that we're Africans. That's not the truth. Okay, he tried to put that spin on our history, our secular history, to further manipulate our minds to stay conditioned to believe that we're Africans, because he doesn't want us to know the truth. And that's why that we've gone from Wakanda back to Zamunda. You see? So I'm going to continue with the point here dealing with Ham. It says Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood, he became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. And that's why dealing with the word Ethiopia, okay, or Ethiopian, the prefix of that word, or dealing with the word Ethiopia, the prefix of that word Ethiop, all right, is a Greek word that means burnt face. Okay, that's why before the time of the so-called Christians, all right, the land of Africa, all right, was once known as Ethiopia, divided into 2 parts. Okay, and then when these devils, before these devils conquered it and named it Africa after this Edomite, Leo Scipio Africanus, it was known as the land of Ham. All right, after the nation of Ham. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Dealing with the real so-called Africans. Okay, all right, which it went into more detail here. Okay, so like it says, Ham became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but rather the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. So this ain't got nothing to do with the so-called Negroes. It clearly said not the Negroes. Okay, so these scholars, okay, including these Amalekites, they further compose this knowledge, okay, which is a secular history filtered to biblical prophecy. Okay, and that further tears down that stronghold that we are Africans. You know, now dealing before I continue with the precept, I just wanted to go ahead and speak about how the spiritual elements I spoke about that I was able to catch on to in this movie Coming to America 2, was the fact that they were pushing mainly the so-called African vibration. They were pushing gender equality, okay, through feminism, okay, to further proclaim the woman over the man. Because case in point, and this is a spoiler alert, by the way, you know what I'm saying? So, you brothers and sisters that come across this video, that haven't seen the video yet, you might want to watch the video, if that's your choosing, but it's all through the spirit. It's a spiritual review, of that movie, because that's what they were pushing. That's those unclean spirits of iniquity, sin upon sin, they were pushing throughout that movie, because once again, there's messages and these platforms going into that saying, art imitates life. You see, so so the Lord, put the spirit on this devil to push this movie out there, Coming to America 2, all right, to further push out this righteous vibration, this truth. Now the spin on it is, or in this case, the ironic thing, shall I say, rather, is that even though these devils try to use their this movie as an instrument, a further instrument of deceit, and ultimately iniquity, sin upon sin, evil, to further condition our minds to still believe that we're Africans, it backfired on them, because there is a lot of spiritual elements in that movie, that tied into the truth, including Hebrew, ancient Hebrews like customs. Like when Prince Akeem goes to circumcise his son, where did he get that from, man? Where did he get that from, man? They got that from the scriptures, man. Okay, that's an ancient Hebrew Israelite custom. So we're not ignorant of these devil devices, man. We know that they know who we are, but they don't want us to know who we are. That's why they push that so-called African vibration out there. Okay, you see, but we're here to tear down those strongholds and stumbling blocks, how much more. So continuing on. All right. All right. So I'm going to continue on, and Amos chapter 9, verse 7. Okay, so it spoke about Judah of the southern, of the nation of Israel, the so-called blacks. Okay, being dark skinned. So I'm going to get Amos chapter 9, verse 7. So because of that, Esau tried to imply that since we're dark like the so-called Africans, we're the same people. But then how do you explain? So does that logic also pertain to the so-called East Indians? Because they're also dark-skinned people. So are they our people also? You see this devil has done. You see every nation, the 17 out of the 18 nations that Heavenly Father Yahweh created are all dark-skinned. There's only one nation that was not dark-skinned. That's the Edomites, cursed with leprosy. Okay, a lack of melanin in the skin. Okay, so this is Amos chapter 9, verse 7. It says, "Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel?" said Yahweh. Okay, and because that word Ethiopia was another byword, pursuing Deuteronomy 28 and 37, that we would be referred to as the ancient Greeks, or Edomites, because once again the prefix Ethiop, stems from the word Ethiopia, which means burnt face. So they were referring to the entire nation of Israel as burnt faces of dark skinned people. So that further confirms that all 12 tribes are dark skinned people. Okay, all right, of the nation of Israel, especially Judah, the so-called the southern kingdom, including the so-called blacks. All right, and that's why in that book, Nature Knows No Color Line on page 52, it goes into this information. Okay, like what's that saying? Reminds me of that saying: if you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in the book. Because Esau refers to he wants our people to perceive in our minds that we're niggas, we're low vibrational people. That is, you see, but we're actually kings. We're actually kings, priests, and rulers, and that's part of the spiritual element that I caught on in this movie, Coming to America too, because it was really dealing with the truth, with the so-called African spin on it, just like Wakanda. Because once again, Wakanda means you are going home. Okay, and how are we going to go home? Through the chariots, and that's why in the movie Black Panther, doing Wakanda, you had a scene in there, with chariots in there. Okay, where the people of Wakanda will come out of those chariots. That got that from the scriptures, man. Pursuing the second Ezra, the 13th chapter, in Zechariah the 5th chapter, another precept, St. Matthew the 24th chapter, Deuteronomy 30 and 4. We're gonna be saved within we're gonna scarcely be saved, I believe it says in the book of First Peter, through the chariots, so-called UFOs, man. And that's why they put, they use their predictive programming to push aspects of the truth before, in plain sight to those who can catch it. But see, the Lord does that to these devils, okay, all right, to further confound them. So this whole intention of swaying the minds of our people is to still believe that we're so-called Africans has backfired on this devil because of this truth, because case in point, there's dealing with the so-called Africans, or dealing with Africa, all right, dealing with how the land was once known as Ethiopia. There's an ancient map, okay, of Africa when it was once known as Ethiopia, all right, and there's a section called Negro Land. Let me see if I can get this on camera. It's a little blurry. Okay, you probably won't be able to see it, but you can go and look it up. It's pretty simple. It's pretty much easy to find. See, Negro Land right there. Let's see, pull it over a little bit. Negro Land right there. It's kind of hard to see. Okay, right above Lower Ethiopia is Negro Land. All right, and around Negro Land, there's a section called Kingdom of Judah, slave coasts. Meaning what? Spiritually speaking, they're continuing to push this stronghold of Africa on our people to further push out that spirit of bondage. Okay, that's a part of their deception. Now, further going to the fact that the word devil means deceivers, dealing with Esau, Edom, the man of sin and son of perdition, who's responsible for this deceit. Okay, the self-proclaimed white man, the ruler of the rulers of the darkness of this world, because they don't want us to know this information. Okay, they don't want us to know that Africa was once known as Ethiopia, and that there was a section in Lower Ethiopia called Negro Land. Okay, and it tells you, and it prophesies that the so-called Negroes from the tribe of Judah are Israelites. They're not Africans. So-called Africans are Hamites. So those are two different nations. So dealing with that section, Kingdom of Judah, slave coasts around this area, Negro Land in Lower Ethiopia, further confirms they've been further pushing out the spirit of bondage on our people. So in other words, they want us to stay enslaved. Okay, because they don't care about our votes, or they don't care about none of that. They need our minds. Okay, because this devil needs our minds to stay conformed to a system to worship him as if he was God, and to still believe that they're God's chosen people. You know, dealing with those people down there in our land in Palestine, the motherland, the real motherland, Jerusalem. Okay, they don't. Those people down there perpetrating fraud to be the Lord's chosen people do not fit the prophecies. They don't fit the prophecy of Judah, Judah. Okay, you so-called Negroes. Okay, so you know, dealing with how it says Kingdom of Judah, slave coast for the confirming they're pushing out that that vibration of oppression. Okay, to keep us enslaved here. Okay, when it tells you in St. John 8:32, the truth sets you free. Okay, and the truth consists of the fact that we are Israelites, so-called blacks of the nation Israel, being Israelites from the kingdom of Judah, from Jerusalem. This is the truth that has set us free. Okay, from the bondage of our enemies. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward. Amos 9:7. Are you not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, or children of Israel? Saith Yahweh. Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Caphtor, and the Syrians from Ker? Okay. You know, so the fact that these Edomites, when they were known as the Greeks, calling us Ethiopians, further fulfills this prophecy. Okay, how we would be likened onto the Ethiopians. Okay, because once again, there's another byword along with Negro, you know, Black, African American, and you know, and so forth. You know, to you know, as a further hissing taunt, you know, to keep our people withdrawn from the truth, you know, through these different labels and whatnot. That's why the Jesse Jackass Jackson started the whole Afro-American situation back in the 70s. Okay, you know, because they are of the language gates that have received a constellation on this side by agreeing to be used by this devil. You know what I'm saying, like Rick Ross. You know, to make our people still believe that we're African. So I'm going to get this next precept in Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 33. Okay, because ultimately this is another war tactic to enslave the minds of Judah and Israel, the southern and northern kingdoms of Israel, to believe that they are not the real people of God. But it tells you in Romans 8 chapter that in the land of their captivities, when it was thought of, matter of fact, let me go ahead and get that real quick. All right, Romans 8 chapter. Salaki, this is Romans chapter 8. I believe it's in verse 18. Salakia. I believe it's in Romans 8 chapter. Somewhere. Con. Matter of fact, let me just look it up real quick. It says in the land that they Salakia, Romans chapter 9, verse 26. Romans chapter 9, verse 26. It reads, and it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living God. Okay, and that land, that place that we would predominantly not be called the people of God is America. Okay. All right, the land of the free, home of the brave is really the land of this, the land of the land of the free and the home of the brave is really the land of the free and the home of the slave. Okay, and ultimately those slaves is dealing with the captives, man, prophesying the scriptures, dealing with the nation of Israel. Okay, because they don't want us to believe in America, Babylon the Great, where the bulk of the so-called slaves were taken to by way of biblical prophecy, to know that they are God's chosen people. Okay, and this whole African, this whole Wakanda and Zamunda whole wave of the so-called African vibration is a further means for that purpose. Okay, for Esau to keep us asleep, keep us lulled to sleep, for to contend with the truth, because the truth is getting hot on them, man. Okay, this is Jeremiah 15:33. It says, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah." The children of Israel, in this context, dealing with the northern kingdom of Israel, the so-called, the so-called indigenous, people, the so-called Mexicans, Cubans, North American Indians, Brazilians, Seminoles, and so forth, for the northern kingdom of Israel, so-called indigenous. Okay, further tying into how, Amos 97 dealing with the comparison of Israel to the Ethiopians of the nation of Ham, okay, was because they're both of those nations are dark-skinned people, okay. And it's Jeremiah 15:33. Thus said the Lord Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were pressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Okay, and so Judah and Israel were made captives by their adversaries, and mainly Esau, Edom. Started with we're dealing with the sub-Saharan slave trade, aka the trilateral slave trade. Okay, between the Edomites, so-called whites, Ishmael, so-called Arabs, and Ham, the so-called Africans. Okay, so so-called Africans had their hand in your slavery, so-called black men. So stop associating yourself with this culture. Stop aspiring stop envying your oppressor. Stop aspiring to be like your oppressor when you're greater than him. Okay, you have royal blood in your veins, man. Pursuing Deuteronomy 7:6, you were created to be greater. Okay, like it says, it Wisdom of Solomon 12:7. The land of Jerusalem, the true the mother of us all, was given to the godly people. Okay, the Israelites. Okay, and because of that, our enemies envy us, man. Okay, and that's why they have consulted into this tumult, into this rather this consultation. Okay, this confederacy. All right, to remove the name of Israel or the remembrance of Israel from the face of the earth. And these stronghold stumbling blocks like the African vibration of Wakanda and Zamunda is of no exception to that, man. They don't want us to know who we are. That's why when they gather within their G7 and G20 summits annually, these nations are conspiring on how to destroy our people. Including removing the thought of us from this earth, that we are God's chosen people for the nation of Israel. That's why when this whole Crown Royale global crisis situation transpired, it initially was reported to be originated from Wuhan, China. So now, how is it now that we're the bulk of the blame of this pessimist? Okay, because Moab, the so-called Chinese, was in on it, further fulfilling the prophecy in Psalm 83rd chapter, how these nations would conspire amongst themselves to remove the remembrance of Israel from the earth, including the fact that Israelites. Okay, and that goes into why we were held captives. Mainly, we were held captives. Due to our perpetual transgressions against Yahweh. Okay, because he consecrated us. He made us holy. Okay, through the holy covenant. Okay, to keep his law, statutes, commandments. That's why that scene in Coming to America 2, when Prince Akeem, goes to circumcise his son after he bringing him from Babylon, America, back to Zamunda, which is symbolic of Jerusalem. Okay, he went to circumcise him. Okay, and that because they got that from the scriptures, man. That's a Hebrew Israelite custom. All right, because this holy covenant was given to the nation Israel. Okay, Esau being envious that our forefather Jacob supplanted him for the blessing. Okay, conspired to destroy his brother Jacob all along, like it says in Amos 1:11, by way of that perpetual hatred. Said, so by him wanting us to believe that we're so-called Africans is all that perpetual hatred, man. And these other nations in on it too, man. Including Moab, okay, the biblical nation of China, for example, all contributing to this confusion for our people to forget who we are. Because if we all remember who we are, you know what I'm saying, the Lord will avenge us at that second. Like it says somewhere in scripture, we face the east and pray to Yahweh by Shem Yashai, the true names of the Lord. He would come out that instant, roughly paraphrasing. These nations know that's not going to happen. Okay, so they're trying to buy themselves some time. Really, Esau is a proud devil, man, and he knows that this truth is getting out there, within the airways that much more. So this is one of the ways in which he's trying to keep us asleep. Okay, just like around the time when Black Panther came out. Okay, same tactic. Now we went from Wakanda back to Zamunda, man. Okay, so we're not ignorant of these devil devices, man. They want to keep us enslaved. Judah and Israel were held captives together, like it just said in the scripture, because that's a further fulfillment of Deuteronomy 28:68, how we were casted off into slavery on cargo slave ships, man. Okay, no other demographic of people fits these curses except for the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American Indians, man. All right, so-called dark-skinned people. Okay, that happen to be from Jerusalem. So this is Galatians chapter 4, verse 26. All right, Salakia, this is Galatians chapter 4, verse 26, and it reads, "But Jerusalem, which is above, is free." Okay, which of the truth that shall set us free. Pursuing St. John 8:32. All right, Galatians chapter 4, verse 26 reads, "But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all." Okay, it didn't say nothing about no land of Ham. Okay, dealing with the modern day continent of Africa. Okay, predominantly inhabited by the real so-called Africans, the Hamites. Okay, and it didn't mention anything about any other nation. It mentioned nothing about no Wakanda, none of that nonsense. Zamunda, all this fictional nonsense to further push out, that damnable heresy of Africa upon our people. Okay, that false vibration upon our people. Okay, that vibration of confusion. Okay, because we are from Jerusalem. Okay, it's going to be further brought out as it has been further brought out, man. All right, throughout these precepts. Okay, so that's why it says here. That's why it says here in matter of fact, I quoted it. Let me bring it out. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12, verse 7. Okay, this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12, verse 7. And it reads, "That the land which thou esteemest above all other might receive a worthy colony of the Most High's children." Okay, so the land above all is to be inhabited by the Most High's children. His children are holy, the Israelites, and that's Jerusalem, pursuing biblical prophecy through precepts. Okay, we further get that understanding, like it says in Psalm 109, Psalm 119 and 104, I believe it is, because it just said in Galatians 4 and 26, Jerusalem, which is free, is the mother of us all. So that's where we are from, not Africa. Okay. So I'm going to get another quick precept in 1 Kings chapter 14, verse 21. Okay. This is 1 Kings chapter 14. All right. Verse 21. It reads, "And Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, reigned in Judah." Okay. Dealing with Jerusalem. Rehoboam was 41 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city which the Lord Yahweh did choose out of all the tribes of Israel to put his name there. And his mother's name was Naamah and Ammonitis. You see, so the nation Israel was to further represent, the people of Israel, to further, exemplify and exhibit the light of Yahweh by Shemeshai, which that light is wisdom, all right? The Holy Spirit, the Holy breath, all right? That gives us the unction to know all things, use wisdom, knowledge, understanding. That's how we further know that we are Israelites by way of biblical prophecy. Because the Lord gave us that wisdom, knowledge, understanding, okay, to be, of this ministry of reconciliation, okay, according to the Apostle Paul, okay, to come back into this, into the remembrance of our Hebrew Israelite heritage, man. Okay, for the scaring these devils, because this truth is going out there, man. Okay, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and get this next precept in Micah chapter 4, verse 8. All right. This is the book of Micah chapter 4, starting in verse 8. It reads, "And thou, O tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion, and to thee shall it come even the first dominion. The kingdom," now that first dominion, the first dominion, is of the the fact that the earth was given to our, it was made for our sakes, man, pursuing the second Ezra, the 6th chapter. Okay. All right. So that's that. So and that's why this entire world was given to our sakes, because of the first covenant, the first, the first covenant, the holy covenant the Lord gave us, man. Okay, for the nation of Israel, all right, to further represent His righteousness on earth, mainly out of Jerusalem. Okay, the land of milk and honey, the land above all, not Africa, not these other fictional lands that Esau's throwing out there to confuse our people. All right, and keep us ensnared within his witchcraft. Okay, his laws of the land, and different different vibrations of his satanic devices, of his propaganda, Western media, for example, and bread and circuses to keep our people distracted. You know what I'm saying? With the affairs of this life. All right, instead of being fixated on the scriptures, man, because prophecy is a testimony of our Lord and Savior Yahushua, and that you know, so that's so, and it's a testimony because, uh, a prophecy, all right, it's to first fulfill things that were not that haven't been said. I mean, it's like it, of things that that were declared by the Ancient of all days. Okay, Yahweh. So through his righteous vessels, he speaks. All right, he speaks prophecy. Okay, and it's prophesied that our people would come back into the wisdom, knowledge, understanding of the scriptures, and including the knowledge of who we are, and come back to our power and unconform from this wicked world. But only a small remnant would do that. Because the masses of the world, including two-thirds of our people, are still going to believe they're so-called Africans for the most part, and they're going to get destroyed, man, and die in their sins. Okay, by following the blind leaders of the blind into the ditch, like it says in St. Matthew 15:14. So back in Micah 4:8, and thou, O tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion, until thee shall it come, even the first dominion, the kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem. Okay. Now, so says verse 9. Now, why dost thou cry out aloud? Is there no king in thee? Is thy counselor perished? For pangs have taken thee as a woman in travail. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and get Ezekiel chapter 21, verse 3. All right. Matter of fact, I'm gonna continue. Micah 4:10. Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion, like a woman in travail. For now shalt thou go forth out of the city, and thou shalt dwell in the field, and thou shalt even go to Babylon. There shalt thou be delivered. There the Lord Yahweh shall redeem thee from the hand of thine enemies. Okay, so it was prophesied that we would get casted out of our land, the holy land of Jerusalem. Okay, and get scattered, throughout the four corners of the earth by way of these slave trades. Okay, the sub-Saharan and the transatlantic slave trades, man. All right, because of our transgressions against the holy covenant. All right, against Yahweh by Shem Ashai. So he gave us over to the enemy. Now, it's still within the hands of our enemies. Okay, they want us to stay as such and stay enslaved here, so they can further control us. So they control us easier. Okay, that's why we go into the saying: the most dangerous individual on the planet is an educated Israelite. Okay, because they don't want us to know this truth. All right, and how our sanctuary was defiled, how our land was defiled by the Gentiles, man. Like it says in St. Luke, the 21st chapter, in Ezekiel, the 7th chapter. Okay. So I'm going to get that prophecy in Ezekiel 21:3. Okay, because there's a reason why we're not in our homeland right now. Ezekiel 21:3. And say to the land of Israel, thus said the Lord Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, and will draw forth my sword out of the sheath, and will cut off from thee the righteous and the wicked. So he casted us out of our land, Jerusalem. Okay, for our the detestable the detestable and abominable things that we were committing. Okay, transgression against the holy covenant behind by Shem Shai, indulging in idolatry, okay, sexually immoral activities, okay, all manners of wickedness. It's perpetually done. That's why we broke our end of the holy covenant. And speaking of covenant, in a movie Coming to America too, Esau had it to where, the women, we're going against the Holy Covenant, because of the Holy Covenant for the men to be the rulers of the family, not the women. Because they kept pushing, in the movie, they kept pushing for one of Prince Hakim's daughters to become the queen, okay, to take over the heirship of Zamunda when Prince Hakim died, okay. Instead of, but when it was within Prince Hakim's interest to go get his son from Babylon, so-called America, oddly enough from Queens. Why? Because they're pushing out a feminine vibration out there. So it's not a coincidence that his son was from Queens. You see, because everything's spiritual. Yeah, and that's why they were pushing for the daughter, one of Prince Hakim's daughters, to be the next heir and ruler. Okay, instead of Prince Hakim's son. When both King Jaffe and Prince Hakim agreed that they would keep that family tradition alive. And our family tradition is of our holy covenant, man. Okay? And it's not to be compromised by anybody. Okay? But in that movie, they were pushing a lot of that rebellion against the holy covenant. Against order. against ancient traditions. Setting the woman above the man, having a free for all, setup. All right, where you could just abandon the old ancient paths and just do what you want, going into that ancient that satanic ideology by Aleister Crowley that will. You see, that's a divide of America, man. The main place of our captivity, where the same land that they want us to stay captives within. Okay, so we could continue to uphold their society. Okay, especially through this corporate system. So Ezekiel 21:3, and say to the land of Israel, thus said the Lord Yahweh, behold, I'm against thee, and will draw forth my sword out of its sheath, and will cut off from thee the righteous and the wicked. Okay, so this is a further fulfillment of 70 A.D. All right, the so-called Roman wars. Okay, from 66 to 70 A.D. and mainly in 70 A.D., which is prophesied in St. Luke, the 21st chapter. Yahweh told us to flee to Africa. Okay, that doesn't imply that we're from Africa. He told us to flee to Africa to blend in with them dark-skinned Hamites, man. Because that dark skin as well as was brought out in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, man. Okay, so that's why we're no longer in our land right now. And some of us stayed in Africa, including the Igbos, the Ashantis, and whatnot. Okay, Nigerians, they're still over there. Some of them still keeping the ancient Hebrew Israelite customs, because some of us stayed behind. And when the bulk of us got translated across the four corners of the earth. Okay. And in this case, anyway, some of our people went back to our homeland. When that's going off, because the Lord is going to take us back there. Okay. We are to remain in the land of our captivities where we have been scattered before the Lord can come and deliver us. Okay. And take us back home, going to the meaning of Wakanda, meaning you are going home, because we are going back home real soon. That's Jerusalem. Okay. Because right now it's been defiled, it's still defiled by the Gentiles, man. But the Lord's going to turn it around. Okay. This is Micah chapter 4, verse 11. It says, now also many nations are gathered against thee that say, let her be defiled, and let our eye look upon Zion. Okay. So they didn't see that a part of them, compromising our homeland, Jerusalem, by ransacking our second temple in 70 A.D. was a part of that further plot, to destroy the remembrance of Israel from the planet, man. Because they knew that we were going off. So that's Esau's job, to continue to have us go off. Okay, to transgress the law, statutes, commandments. Okay, knows that further contributes into his power over us when we seek our Lord instead of him. Okay, that's when he trembles, because these devils tremble at righteousness. That's why in the book of Proverbs it says how the unrighteous will make the righteous a ransom against themselves, roughly paraphrasing. So that's why they target us within their media, and they deem what we say as hate speech when we expose their wickedness. Okay, and they come with us with their censorship and whatnot. Because this word is going out there, man, and it's going out there like a wildfire. And this whole Zamunda situation being thrown back out there, in a movie that's like 33 years old. Come on, man. We're not ignorant these devil devices, man. We know why they're doing what they're doing. Okay. So Micah 4:12. It says, but they know not the thoughts of the Lord Yahweh, neither understand they his counsel, for he shall gather them as the sheaves into the floor. Okay, so I'm going to get the next precept in Isaiah chapter 52, verse 1. All right, this is going to the glory of Jerusalem. Okay, Isaiah 52:1. Awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion. Put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For henceforth there shall no more come unto thee, the uncircumcised and the unclean. Okay, so that's twofold, dealing with actual circumcision, okay, which is symbolic of putting off that uncleanness, that impurity of iniquity. Okay. So literally to be uncircumcised is of the ancient Hebrew Israelite custom of our nation. Okay, and that's why in that movie Eddie Murphy was certainly looked he was trying to circumcise his son. You see, that's why these kind of movies that Esau uses backfires on him because the Lord directs the steps of all mankind, man. And he's further using Esau to even contribute to his own downfall, further exposing himself, that much more. Okay? So this is Isaiah 52:2. Shake thyself from the dust, which dust is symbolic of the pit, death, and destruction, all right, the grave. Okay? So it says, shake thyself in the dust, arise and sit down on Jerusalem. So how do we shake ourselves from this dust, this death? Okay? For the wages of sin is death. Okay? Within a dark land. Darkness is symbolic of iniquity, evil, sin upon sin. Okay? In a land laden with sin, a land that promotes sin, cherishes sin, by the man of sin and son of perdition, Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man. So how do we come conform from this? By seeking our power. Okay? The ancient ways. Okay? Including the ancient ways in righteousness. Isaiah 52:2. Shake thyself in the dust, arise and sit down on Jerusalem. Loose thyself from the bands of thy neck, O captive daughter of Zion. Okay, so dealing with captivity, case in point, once again, in that ancient land of Africa, when it was known as Ethiopia, around Lower Ethiopia, where it says Negro land, there's a section there of land that was deemed the kingdom of Judah. All right, the kingdom of Judah. Okay, well, like I was saying, going into, which basically that was a area, of captivity. Okay, deal with the Nigerians and whatnot. Okay, so so these devils know, all right, that we're coming back into this, coming back into this truth. All right, so they want us to stay within that dust. Okay, they want us to stay within that pit where they're destined to. Okay, because there's no salvation for the nation Edom. All right, Isaiah 52. Matter of fact, that was it. Okay. So I'm going to grab the next precept. All right, in Psalm chapter 19, verse 7. Because how do you put on that beautiful garments? Okay, further exude that holy city. Okay, how do you further represent it? This is how, by seeking the Lord while he may be found, in ways in which we shall please him all right, in righteousness. This is Psalm chapter 19, verse 7. It reads, the law of the Lord Yahweh is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord Yahweh is sure, making wise the simple. So the law of Yahweh by Shemeshai of his holy covenant is perfect, man, because converting the soul. Okay, converting the soul. Like it says in St. James 5:20, and our souls collectively, our souls are lost in this society. And that's why we need healing. Because we're in gross darkness. Okay, like it says in Isaiah the 60th chapter. Okay, and it's true, so I said it's free from that darkness, that bondage of iniquity, that bondage of sin. And like it says in Romans 9:28, for the small remnant of Israel who's calling for salvation from the wages of sin, being death, the sin of this wicked flesh. Okay. Okay. So in the movie, they were pushing for, they were pushing for, transgressions against the law, statutes, commandments. Case in point, Slakia, you see? Because they know, man, the cat's out the bag, man. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get Genesis chapter 17, all right, starting in verse 1. Okay? Because just like King Jaffe was telling Prince Hakeem, he was telling him, if you don't find your son and make him heir to your throne, you're going to be destroyed. Okay, and the significance of that those words of wisdom to his son Prince Hakeem in the movie was what? If you don't make your son heir to your throne, okay, and you allow any of your daughters, to take over that responsibility, okay, you know, that accountability as a guardian, as a head of the household, then your nation is going to be compromised. That's why he was adamant about him finding a son in Babylon, okay, in Queens, oddly enough, so he can tell him that he has royal blood in his veins. He's a prince, and that his son would follow his footsteps. And that's what we're doing through the Spirit, okay? Because we are the princes of Yahweh Shemar Shai, Ezra meaning prince of the power, okay? Because we are the real we are the real lost for tribe of Israel as is prophesied. Okay, so this is another precept in Genesis chapter 17, verse 1, and it reads, "And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord Yahweh appeared to Abram and said to him, I am the Almighty power, walk before me and be thou perfect." Okay, it's like Yahweh said, "Be thou perfect like your father," and that goes for Judah and Israel. Okay, so like I said in Jeremiah 15:33, that Judah and Israel, they refused to let Judah and Israel go, you know, that held them captives. Okay, you know, dealing with the word Wakanda, okay, meaning you know, once again being you are going home. You know, it also ties into the word what's that word by the so-called Native Americans? Okay, it ties in with a phrase that the Native Americans were known for, so-called Native Americans. Okay, you go ahead and pull that real quick. Okay, it's Twanda, I believe it is. Let me go ahead and pull it up. It's like Wakantanka. So the word, so it's twofold. See, the word Wakanda, okay, means you were going home as an elder, Kazakh from GMS Mississippi brought out. Then you have the other meaning, you know, which is tied into the phrase Wakan Tanka, which means the Great Spirit, dealing with the Heavenly Father Yahweh. Okay, that's why the so-called Native Americans once upon a time, you know, were once calling on Yahweh, which they're trying to say Yahweh, but they had you know they had experienced curses where they forgot the Hebrew Israelite heritage just like the rest of the tribes did. That's why the so-called Puerto Ricans from the tribe of Ephraim were calling on Yah, and that's a prefix Yah, meaning he, the Heavenly Father Yahweh's name. Okay, so you know, so through reading between the lines, man, we are the biblical Israelites according to biblical prophecy, man. Okay, and these devils can't take that from us. Okay, so they're coming out with these desperate measures to keep us asleep. This is Genesis 17:1, and I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and the Most High talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham, for father of many nations have I made thee. Now here's the point in verse 6. And I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. It did not say queens, man. Okay, because case in point in the movie, Coming to America 2, they're pushing that Queen of Heaven, the ancient wicked Queen of Heaven spirit a lot. Okay, you know, through a feminism. Okay, which is why they had you know, that Eve comedian Leslie Jones up in there being mad, clamorous, and belligerent, stereotypical N-dub, stereotypical Eve, you see. You know, further pushing out that, you know, that queen spirit out there. You know, because Prince Hakeem in movies like, I'm going to take my son, you know, my so-called, because he's calling him a bastard son, you know. See, so I'm going to take my so-called bastard son back home with me. And then you know, his wicked ass mama, you know, his son's mama said, oh, well, no. But then the son was saying, oh, no, well, I'm not going nowhere without her. You know, and that Tupac Dear Mama spirit, because, you know, going into the curses, man, a lot of our people didn't grow up with our fathers. So we grew up without that structure in the home. In that movie, that's what they were pushing, man. Division of the home, okay? Compromising the home by attacking the head, okay? And rooting out his foundations, the king of the castle, okay, by trying to enforce your own agenda. Okay, that's what they were pushing in the movie. Rebellion. The woman over the man, you see. gender equality. That's not in the scriptures, man. So it tells you in Genesis 2 and 18 and Genesis 3 and 16, the Lord created the woman to be a helpmeet to the man, pursuing Genesis 2 and 18. Okay? And she was created to be an incubator, okay? And a nurturing tool to her husband, nothing more, nothing less. Okay, so there's no queen. And there, you see, dealing with royalty, there was never no queens. Dealing with the royal priesthood in 1 Peter 2 and 9 of the nation of Israel, there were never any queens of Israel. Okay, as case in point, you look up the etymology of the word queen. Okay, this is in Middle English. Okay, it says queen. Okay, and this is in Old English rather, because in Old English, queen was spelled was more so spelled Quean instead of the traditional way. So it says a woman, a low-born woman from Old English queen spelled Cwene, also female serf, hussy, prostitute. What's it say in Leviticus? Thou shalt not prostitute daughter of Zion. We see that's a vibration you're pushing out, and in that movie and throughout Babylon as a whole, pushing that Cardi B spirit out here, that wicked Jezebel, ancient Queen of Heaven spirit, man. Okay, and that's an unclean spirit that's not supposed to, the women of Zion are not supposed to desire. Okay, but being the earth was given to the hands of the wicked. Majority of our women, believe they're queens, as if it's, as if it's some sort of high authority, okay, equal to a man or above a man in this case regarding their perception, by way of this devil, okay, enforcing his laws of the land, in First Maccabees, the first chapter, through Section 8 housing decrees and policies, where if you're a so-called Negro or indigenous person, case in point, you go to fill out paperwork for governmental aid through SS 18, Slovakia, Section 8 housing, you see SNAP, and healthcare and other benefits of the government, man. When you're in dire straits and whatnot. Okay, why is it that they require that the man not be present? Same reason why in Coming to America too, they were feminizing Prince Hakeem the whole while, man, and then exalting his daughters and his wife as if they were men. See, because Earth, things. This earth has been turned upside down, pursuing Isaiah 29:16 because of this devil's rule, man. So then with the word queen, it says hussy, prostitute. Okay, so there to be no whores of the nation of Israel. Okay, no whoredom of the daughters of Israel. Okay, so that goes into the wine of fornication as well. That whorish ideology, that free for all way of thinking when there's no order. Okay, without a lack of order, there's darkness, death, and destruction, like it says in Job 10:23. Okay, so that movie Coming to America pushing that whole effeminate, vibration was a further means to do that. Okay, to further prop up the woman and make the man downtrodden. Okay, so this is Genesis 17:6 again. I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee, and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their power. He said, I will be their God, I will be their power. Okay? Over the nation of Israel, okay, in which the nation of Israel were given this land, and that was of the Holy Covenant. This was of the promise, but we didn't hold up our end of the bargain, so the Lord, cast us out of our land. Okay, this is Genesis 17:9, and the Most High said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore thou and thy seed after thee in the generations. This is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you, and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised. Okay. Verse 11, and ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. Okay, going to, it's literally and figuratively once again, man. That's why in Jeremiah, the 9th chapter, it speaks about the uncircumcised. Okay, dealing with, with the heathen. Genesis 17:13, he that is born in thy house and he that is bought with thy money must needs be circumcised, and my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. Okay, it says here, verse 14, and the uncircumcised man child whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He had broken my covenant. Okay, verse 15, and the Most High said unto Abraham, as for Sarai thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be. And I will bless her and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. Now, I didn't say that queens of people will come out of her, because the word queen means prostitute, essentially. You're going into the old English meaning of it. Okay, so you're associating yourself. Our women are associating ourselves with with those low vibrational things, because Babylon the Great promotes these things for us to be conditioned to accept as if it's normal, like it says in Isaiah 8:20, to the law, to the testimony. Matter of fact, Isaiah 5:20 rather. Woe be unto thee who calls darkness light and light darkness, roughly paraphrased. Okay, so that's why these people, of our nation, these language gates are set up for this purpose, man, to keep us asleep, to keep us dead. Okay, figuratively and literally, for those who continue to stay conformed to this world. Okay, so this is Genesis 17 and 14, and his uncircumcised man child whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He had broken that covenant, or my covenant, Slakia. He had broken my covenant. And the Most High said to Abraham, as for Sarai thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be, once again. Okay, so she was created to play her role, to be an incubator, to serve her husband. That's why I said queens didn't come out of the nation of Israel, because there's no such thing. That is a heathen custom. Okay, to exalt queens over you, like Queen Elizabeth, this old devil Shedemite, you know what I'm saying, out of the UK. Okay, Queen fits fits her and the rest of these other nations, right? Because our women, the daughters of Zion, are princesses. Okay, once again, Israel means prince of power, and they come from us, so they're princesses, not queens, man. So I'm going to get quick pre in Genesis chapter 3, verse 16, once again, even though I quoted it. Because they were pushing feminism in that movie heavy, man. That his wife, Prince Hakim's wife, got mad at Prince Hakim because she wanted her daughters to be the next in rulership. But Prince Hakim was staying true to his roots. He said no. At first, he was doing that. He was like, no, my son's going to fall after me. Okay, we need warriors of his family, not our nurturing women. That's backwards. That's counterproductive because of that. Okay, because that's out of order. Right? To further confirm that, to further expound on that, this is Genesis chapter 3, verse 16. And it reads, and to the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Okay? That's point blank period. So every woman is supposed to have a man, a righteous man specifically, that rules over her, keeps her straight, keeps her in line, man. Okay, protects her. Not the other way around, like they were further portraying in Coming to America, where he had his daughters whooping his ass in sparring sessions or whatnot. Okay, these are affairs of a Babylon the Great that's going to further lead to this place being utterly made desolate. Okay, for being the main place for our captivity and withholding lives from our people. Okay, including putting our women above us and justifying it with immoral decrees. Okay, like it says here in Proverbs 31 and 3. Let me pull that out real quick. Proverbs chapter 31 verse 3, and it says, "Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyed kings." Okay, so the path of the king, which Prince Hakeem became a king, was his wife. His wife, what I'm saying, started getting entangled with Leslie Jones and her belligerent, what I'm saying, clamors behind, and she started rebelling. Okay, she started not acting royal after a sudden. Okay, after a while, that's what she was doing. Okay, coming against the righteous authority of her man, which is wickedness, man. Okay, and that's what they're pushing in that movie. All right, Proverbs 31:3: "Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyed kings." Okay, all right, that's why they were uh the I believe it was the one of the oldest daughters was set to was thought of to be the next ruler. Okay, but Prince Hakeem said no. I want my son to be the next ruler to keep that family tradition. And then his wife, Prince Hakim's wife, told him, played by what's the name, Headley or whatever her name is. She said, "You were supposed to be the one to do away with that old tradition." Hold on. What does it say in Sirach 39:1? Seek the ancient ways, seek the ancient paths. Okay, everything that was written aforetime is written for our learning, like it says in Romans 15:4. Okay, so you get to choose which aspect of the Most High's rulership, all right, you want to adhere to because you feel some type of way, or you just in any kind of capacity trying to appease your flesh. It don't work that way. Okay, this case in point, this full unadulterated truth is gonna ruffle a lot of feathers, man. You see, and right and you know so you have to be a man. For the confirms, you have to be a man in this truth because the Lord is calling men pursuing Proverbs 8:4. Okay, you got to tell it how it is, sternly, all right, diligently, faithfully and sincerely. All right, all right. Women don't have the luxury because they're created to be the weaker vessel, man, to be nurturing, not compete with their husbands, like they were like Prince Akim's wife was doing in Coming to America too. But that's that vibration there. Those vibrations are pushing on our people to rebel against the righteous order of Yahweh by Shem Yahshai. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get Amos chapter 7, verse 17. Dealing with the understanding of the word whore. Amos 7, or in this case, queen. It says Amos 7:17. It says, "Therefore, thus said Yahweh, thy wife shall be a harlot in the street, in the city, Salakia, and thy sons." I'm gonna read from the top. Amos 7:17. "Therefore, thus said Yahweh, thy wife shall be a harlot in the city, and thy sons and thy daughters shall fall by the sword, and thy land shall be divided by line, and thou shalt die in a polluted land, and Israel shall surely go into captivity forth of his land." Okay, the land of our captivities are part of that captivity would entail our women being harlots, being a slave in the mind, and thinking that whoredom is okay, thinking that is righteous when it's completely righteous when it's completely opposite, the complete opposite. Okay, because the laws of the Most High are the rules of darkness of this world, the same devils that fund the slave ships. Okay, they're the same devils that are trying to keep us from knowing who we are. Okay, and that's ultimately why. It's also why Queen Elizabeth got mad at what's her name? Forget her name already. Markle, whatever her name is, Prince Harry's wife. She doesn't like her because she's dark skinned. But the ironic thing is that woman Meghan Markle was actually a terror. You see, these devils, they think that they still have enough time to rule. Okay, and the Lord is pulling the plug on this society very swiftly. Okay, so case in point, there's no the so-called British royalty are not royal. Okay, because they're Edomites. They don't fit the prophecy of the real Israelites. Okay, so in these last days, man, we're gonna come back into this understanding, and that's gonna further result in this devil just ultimately shutting the internet down. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the next pre in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 29. All right. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 29 reads, "Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom, and the land become full of wickedness." Okay, because the true foundation of rulership is compromised when you reverse the order and you don't abide by the traditional way of doing things, which are profitable. In our case, for our salvation. All right, because the law, statutes, commandments were given for our good, pursuant to Deuteronomy 10:13. For us for us to live. Okay, for us to receive true living, immortality, everlasting life. Because there's no life on this side, nothing but darkness. Okay, evil, oppression, affliction. Okay, which is ultimately sin. Okay, of that death these devils made a covenant with. They want us, that we collectively made that same covenant with. Which that he still wants us to honor that covenant in this case, the covenant with death, and stay believing that you're African. Hey man, when there's a time and place for everything. Now it's time for devils to be exposed, man. You can no longer take this truth coming at you. All right. This is Leviticus chapter 21, verse 9. And it reads, "And the daughter of any priest, if she profane herself by playing the whore, she profaneth her father. She shall be burnt with fire." So if you're rebelling against your father, okay, you playing a harlot, you're shaming him. You're shaming a nation. That's why a woman is not supposed to be in a position of rulership, okay, or commit whoredom, okay. But coming to America too, okay, dealing with Zamunda, okay, they want our people to believe, that this is a change for the better, or women could rule over men now. There's a reason why that's not to be the case, man. It's called common sense, man. It's logic. This world doesn't teach that. Okay. So logically, how are we African Americans when that's two different labels? We were brought to Africa. We were brought to America. This is not our native land. So how are we African American? See, it all ties into the witchcraft. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 17. All right. This is Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 17. It reads, "There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel." So even in a figurative sense, when you have a daughter of Zion rebelling against, ancient traditions, ultimately the Holy Covenant, she's operating off that whorish mindset. That's why the wine of fornication, which is the West philosophy of America, is likened to a whorish ideology, a free-for-all ideology. Okay. Okay. And due to that lack of order here, our people have further indulged in it. Being conditioned that is normal. Okay. Thinking that just because a so-called black woman grows up in a tough home, she's as masculine as her male counterparts. That's not how this works, man. It's all order. Okay. We're supposed to do things in decency and order, like it says in 2 Corinthians, was it 2 Corinthians 14:33? Not operating off our own merit because we don't like an aspect of the Lord's words or his word. Okay. And his word shall go to wherever it was intended to go to. Pursuant to Isaiah 55:11. So you devils can't stop this truth, man. You can put out your little African movies and all this shit is madness, man. It's been further exposed as such, man. Okay, because these strongholds, some of them are being torn down, including the whoredom of our nation. You know what I'm saying? And the reversal of roles. We got the man acting effeminate and vice versa. Okay. So hey, man. In case in point, a whore was a shameful thing back in the ancient world where she was burnt to death for that. What they do in this society, they propel them. Even if you're not literally whoring, okay, if you're giving off that vibration of whoredom, you're dealing with spiritual fornication and whatnot. Okay, then you're just as guilty. Okay, I'm trying to be tough and act like a man. That's not your role, man. That's not nurturing. You see, and that goes into the fact that our people are out of order collectively. Because our people are sick and we need healing. Okay, only 1/3 is going to be healed by the Holy Spirit on this side, and the rest are going to perish by way of the element of fire, cleansing agent. Through this lake of fire, the Lord is going to bring, all right, simultaneously with these nations and their and their weapons. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get Sirach chapter 3, verse 9. All right, this is Sirach chapter Ecclesiasticus or Sirach chapter 3, verse 9, and it reads, "For the blessing of the father establisheth the houses of children, but the curse of the mother rooteth out foundations." Okay, so meanwhile you got the mother and you know, because first of all, mothers are women, they're females, so they're by default they're the weaker vessel, man. They weren't created to be in a position of authority or guardianship. That was a male's role. Her role is completely opposite because it's balance and a false balance and abomination to the Lord. So he did not create women to be equal to us, man. Okay, this is Sirach 3 and 9, like they were pushing that movie. Sirach 3 and 9, "For the blessing of the father establisheth the houses of children, but the curse of the mother rooted out foundations." Okay, so when King Jaffe died, okay, Prince Akeem, was worried. Okay, but he knew that the inheritance, was for him to continue on through his son. And he didn't think he had a son. That was another little funny twist in that movie I'm not going to reveal, even though this is a spiritual review. And, there's a few things that have been spoken about, of the movie already. You know what I'm saying? Come to find out, he did have a son in the movie, and he wanted him to be the heir of the throne. Okay, but they were pushing for one of his daughters to get that, and that's off, man. That's wicked. Okay, that's not what she's created to be. But Esau doesn't care, man. Okay, he doesn't care about the Lord. The Most High Yahweh by Shem Shah not at all in his thoughts, man. Sirach 3 and 10. "Glory not in the dishonor of thy father, for thy father's dishonor is no glory unto thee." Okay, so it's very dishonorable for a father to be out of order, to allow his women and children to, treat him, speak to him any kind of way. Okay, no true authority within his home. I mean, if he can't rule your home, how are you going to rule a nation? You see, but it was set up that way. So it says, "Glory not in the dishonor of thy father, for thy father's dishonor is no glory to thee." So it would have been a very honorable thing for Prince Hakim's son, to come up to him and let him know, hey, pops, hey man, I know you adopted this new modern day way of thinking, but listen, I don't want one of my sisters to be at the throne, even though they've been here longer, and you just barely met me and this and this. Listen, man, I'm a man. I'm gonna take over. I'm gonna keep our family tradition alive. But he didn't say that. He was gonna come in that dear mama spirit. Okay. Well, I want my mom to know it. I'm not going back with you until my mother until my mother can travel with me. Okay. And that's a dangerous mentality to have, man. That's an effeminate thought. You know, that's really a faithless thought, rather, where you're just worrying about what's going to happen, worrying about what's going to happen to you. Hey, when you're rooted, especially in righteousness, more so than anything else, those are mortal thoughts that you'll be able to put off because of wisdom, knowledge, understanding giving you that power. Because wisdom, knowledge, understanding is synonymous to the Holy Spirit. Is minute spiritual power that's going to further manifest. We're seeing in Micah 4 and 13, the Lord raises his elect men up with spiritual power, okay, to destroy these nations and beat them small into powder, man. This is Sirach 3, and that's why Wesley Snipes' character in that movie, Coming to America 2, was hilarious because he was playing him and his tribe was to represent the rival tribe of the people of Zamunda. All right. Another, and another spiritual element about that situation with Wesley Snipes' character is he was pushing the marriage laws essentially in Deuteronomy 22nd chapter, where he was offering Prince Akeem his daughter for Prince Akim's son. You see, in other words, right, Salakia, Prince the Wesley Snipes character wanted to give his daughter's hand in marriage, rather, over to Prince Akim's son. Just like with a little slip of the tongue there, So that's another thing they're pushing in the movie, man. Another Hebrew Israelite custom, the marriage laws, okay, along with circumcision in the movie. So this is Sirach 3 and 11. "For the glory of a man is from the honor of his father, and a mother in dishonor is a reproach to the children." Okay, because it's the role of a man to keep his household in order. Okay, and it's in order to, and to keep his house in order first and foremost. Okay, a woman doesn't have that luxury. She's not built for that. She's not built for that kind of pressure. Okay, that's why in this wicked society, man, you know, they propel our women to believe in that independent woman spirit that they can do it without a man. Okay, and that's why you know, Prince Akeem was being disrespected by his own wife in the movie, and it was an end up, Eve. You see, this is what Esau's pushing out to our people, man. Disorder, dysfunction, okay, wickedness. For us to stay succumb to. Okay, this is Sirach 3 and 12. My son, keep thy father in his age, and grieve him not as long as he liveth. Okay, after the spirit, because Prince Akeem, was kind of grieving his father with doubt and whatnot, you know. And then King Jaffe said, "Listen, I spoiled you. You're not as disciplined. You're not as ruthless as I am. Okay, but you're still gonna have to raise up your son so he could take over you, or else you're gonna get put to death, and our nation gonna be compromised. You see, so that's like it says here, Sirach 3:12. My son, keep thy father in his verse 13, Shalakia, verse 12. My son, keep thy father in his age, and grieve him not as long as he liveth. Okay, so don't grieve him while he's alive. Okay, cherish his presence. That's your pops. You got your spirit from him. You came from him. Okay, and that goes to the importance of family tradition that was spoken about in that movie. Really going to the Holy Covenant. Okay, how we're supposed to circumcise all of our boys at a certain point. Okay, a certain point in their young lives when they come out of the womb. Okay, that had nothing to do with the women. The women just played their roles, man. Okay, and the Lord's going to restore the ways of the ancient, so we could be further we could be further perfected, or have the opportunity to be further perfected within His holy eyesight, man. Okay, He's only going to spare the remnant of those who repented in Jacob. This is Sirach 3 and 13. And if his understanding fail, have patience with him, and despise him not when thou art in thy full strength. Okay, so we have to have patience with people. Patience is a virtue, like they say in the world, man. Okay, so we don't despise him. We don't despise those who are in that full strength, who wholeheartedly believe. Okay, so it says, and if his understanding fail, have patience with him. Okay, so it might take, hey, these are strong stumbling blocks. Jake might not get the fact that he's not from Africa. He might not, a certain, certain, a certain part of our nation are not going to get it on this side. They're not going to get there. That stumbling block is not going to be able to be shaken by them on this side. Okay, and they're not from Africa. That's all they've been indoctrinated to believe for so long, pursuing Isaiah 61:4, that they don't know, they can't see the grass green on the other side. For America, for example, you see, so they stay conformed to this world, okay, and they buy into Esau's agenda of his global hegemony, man. That's to push chaos, okay. Oh, like in the movie, the movie Coming to America too. Somebody said, hey, one of the things, one of Eddie Murphy's characters in the barbershop, he said, listen, a man can cut off his rod now, and get, and have a box or vagina. They're saying, listen, sexual morality, sex changes, whatnot, that's normal here, as it was 30 years, opposed to 30 years ago when it wasn't. So that was another spiritual thing I caught, where basically, the message on that was Babylon is waxing worse and worse, and that's exactly what's happening. That's why this place is going to be destroyed. Okay, they push everything that's anti-righteousness. Okay, which is further portrayed in that movie. Okay, another thing is with the whole African thing, there's some mixed reviews on it because people were getting upset about it. But the whole thing about it is, the African thing, it's just it's first of all, it's folly, and then on top of that, they called Eddie Murphy Idiot Amin, which I thought was hilarious, man. Because that's another way to mock this whole African stronghold. This is Sirach 3 and 14. For relieving of thy fathers shall not be forgotten, and instead of sins, it shall be added to build thee up. Okay. So for the relieving of thy fathers shall not be forgotten. Okay. But only a father can relieve his family from hurt, harm, and danger, oppression, affliction, through his guardianship, his mentorship, his wisdom. Okay. In pursuit of Job 39 and 17, women lack wisdom. Okay. They're supposed to seek wisdom from their head, all right, their husband. Okay. It says, and instead of sins, it shall be added to build thee up. Okay, because you're not accumulating your wages of sin, or your sin that require wages, which are main wages is the lives of those who would be guilty of those offenses. Okay. All right. So moving on to verse 15, in the day of thine affliction it shall be remembered. Thy sins also shall melt away as the ice in the fair warm weather. Okay. So in the day of thine affliction it shall be remembered. Okay, that sins also shall melt away. The Lord is going to wipe our tears away, man, through the Holy Covenant. Okay, to where we're not going to know what it's like to go off anymore. Okay, pursuing Hebrews 8 and 8 and Jeremiah 31 and 31, we're going to get that Holy Covenant. The Lord's He's going to bestow a Holy Covenant within our inward parts, where we're just walking God's, man, and these celestial bodies that He's going to give us. What's that? 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter. So that time is coming, man. They ain't got to do no damn Wakanda, man. And they had a bunch of satanic technology they were using, you know what I'm saying? Turning to machine appeared panthers, within a technological panther suit. You see, that's not in the scriptures, man. They ain't got nothing to do with the glory of the land He put His name on, and that's Jerusalem. Okay. There's nothing that's too complex to even say about it. It is what it is. It's prophesied. You see? So I'm going to go ahead and get Proverbs chapter 17, verse 6. Proverbs 17 and 6. Children's children are the crown of old men, and the glory of children are their fathers. Now the daughters, case in point, they were giving reverence to their pops, but they would question him on certain things. Especially the oldest daughter, like, why can't I? She was asking him why couldn't she be the next in rulership? He said, well, no, I want my son to do it because that's our family tradition. Okay, where did they get that from? They got it from the scriptures, man. Okay, the holy covenant the Lord gave us, we would have perpetually keep that. We didn't. We broke our end of the bargain. The Lord is very he takes those oaths very seriously, and we broke it. So He gave us over to the slaughter, man. Gave us over to the sword, Esau, Edom. Okay, it was forefather Cain, Kwayan in Hebrew, meaning weapon. That really goes into why his blessing was to be a sword. Okay, so this is like it says in Numbers 1 and 18, man. You are what your father is, man. Okay, because that's where your foundation is, your rock. Okay, just so dealing with Numbers 1 and 18, dealing with that family declaration. All right. All right. This is all right. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 3, and give verse 10. All right, this is the book of Ecclesiasticus of Sirach, chapter 3, verse 10. Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord Yahweh Shemeshai and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? Gone. All right, for the Lord Yahweh Shemeshai is full of compassion and mercy, long suffering, very pitiful and forgiveth sins, and saveth in time of affliction. Okay. So that's not what I was looking for. Actually, this is Khan. Wrong chapter. Sirach 3 and 10. Okay, which I already actually read this. Salakia. Okay. But I'm going to move forward here. But I believe the point has been made, man. I don't want to make this too long. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end this off here. I'm going to get Isaiah 32 and 2. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 32, verse 2. And it reads, and a man shall rule in judgment. So like it says, and a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind and a covert from the tempest. Okay, the tempest is very symbolic of tribulation. Okay, and a covert from the tempest, and rivers of water in a dry place, as a shadow of a great rock in a weary land. Okay, so people got, these women have, these modern day women have that effeminate, ancient queen of heaven spirit now, where they independent women and all that. In these last days, it's going to be further revealed how vulnerable you are, how feeble you were the whole time, and how much you always needed a man. Okay, so we're within that time. Okay, pursuing Isaiah 4:1, these women are going to be seeking us, man. Okay, in Esau's propaganda and his wicked media outlets and devices, he'll push in this opposite vibration. Like Wonder Woman, to kick all these dudes' asses, man. That's not logical, man. She wasn't built to challenge a man physically. Now you got this UFC fighter, Zebulonite woman, talking about how they're saying they're pushing how she can beat men in the octagon. See, they mainly push this iniquity on our people, man. Because they want us to know who we are. Okay. But these last days, they're gonna be seeking, like it says in Ezekiel 33 and 33. Before it's all said and done, you're gonna know that the prophet was amongst you, and they were men. Okay. The Lord deals with men. He deals with his nation. He deals with people through men. Okay. All right. So I'm going to get and that's ultimately who's going to be ruling the kingdom of heaven. Men, Israelite men, under Yahushua, a man, and King David, whom is a man. Okay. Women are just going to be, they're going to be princesses, but not going to be, they're going to be ruling under us. Okay. Shalakia. All right, so I'm going to get all right, so Shalakia for that. All right, so I'm going to get Isaiah chapter 59, verse 20. Like it says in Sirach 39 and 1, man. So let me pull that real quick. Sirach 39 and 1. It reads, but he says, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecies. That's how you be occupied in meditation thereof, man. Giving your entire mind to the law of the Most High Yahweh. Okay, seeking the ways of the ancient, through the spirit of prophecy. Okay, to understand how things were done in the ancient world and how we're going to go back to those ways as opposed to the wicked ways of this earth. And those who believe in that will be saved, man. Okay, by way of their faith. Okay, through these works. Okay, that's how we're going to be saved out of here. Okay, Lord willing, we be granted mercy for all our labor we've been doing, tearing down these strong and stumbling blocks and whatnot. Okay, for the tender mercy and grace of Yahweh by Shem Shai. Okay, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, that made the land of Jerusalem the motherland. Okay, the true motherland, the land the land of milk and honey, only to the nation of Israel. Okay, not Wakanda, not Zamunda, none of that crap. Okay, but Jerusalem, as it's prophesied, where we are from. Okay. All right. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and get Isaiah 59 and 20. Because those who believe in His word, all right, are gonna be saved. Okay. This is Isaiah chapter 59, verse 20. It says, "And the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and to them that turn from transgression in Jacob, said the Lord Yahweh." So those who repent are going to be spared on this side, man. Okay? Point blank, period. Okay? Those who are faithless are going to die in their unfaithfulness, like it says in 2nd Ezra 15 and 4. Okay? All right, so that's pretty much that, man. I'm going to wind this down. And Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 16. And it reads, "Therefore say, thus said the Lord Yahweh, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come." He's going to scatter us from the four corners where he took us from through the UFOs, man. Okay? Going into the definition of Wakanda, meaning we are going home. That's how we're going to go home in those angelic vehicles. Okay? And then, it's going to descend back into this realm, right, to destroy Babylon the Great and other parts of the world and deliver the nation of Israel. Pursue Romans 13:11. Rejoice and lift up your heads, for our salvation draweth nigh, man. Okay. Ezekiel 11 and 17. "Therefore say, thus said the Lord Yahweh, I will even gather you from the people and assemble you out of the countries where ye have been scattered. And I will give you the land of Israel." Not take it, not inhabit it because you feel entitled. No. The Lord is going to take us back there. Okay? You Israelites of Jerusalem. He's going to take us back to the motherland, Jerusalem, man. The line of milk and honey. Okay? Not America, not Wakanda, of Jerusalem is where we're going back home to. Okay? We're going home. That's the meaning of Wakanda. Okay? It's very soon. So, where we can, Yahweh is going to wipe the tears from our eyes. We see in Revelation 20 and 21 and 4. Okay? So we almost out of here, man. I'm going to end it off there. Call on Yahweh by Shem Shai, by Shema Kakodash. Give me the spirit to do this video, which I pray is further edifying in the elect may come across it. So likely to be a little long-winded, but there's quite a bit of information I want to bring out, and it's all through the spirit. All right. So with that, all right, Abad DTA. All right, Kwame Allah, and shalom to the nation of Israel. All right, on to the next one.